Talk is cheap, as they say, right? When you start talking about Kino, now we're starting to talk about action a little bit. So what I like to do is within the first minute of a set, I'm already started Kino. And for those that don't know, Kino escalation it's touch. Hey, what's up, guys? Dale Valor here from Modern Valor Dating. Today, we're going to be talking about a video that I've been getting requests for recently, and so I wanted to get this one done and get it out to the guys that really, really want to see it, but I think that it will speak to everyone, all right? And what we're going to talk about today is how to sexualize. We're talking about in a conversation when you're with a girl, to try to turn up the sexual heat a little bit, get that temperature up, you know what I mean? So I got the top 4 tips on how to sexualize with a girl. We're gonna hop into that right now. Let's go. Tip 1, talk about sex openly. All right, now here's the thing. This is one thing that I kind of had to learn the hard way, so to speak. I was never like a guy that really, how can I put it? And I just never really felt comfortable talking about sexual things openly, with a group of people or with a girl, until things like really, really got heavy. You know what I mean? I never really, I just always felt uncomfortable, and it was something that I really had to work on. And here's the thing: if you talk about sexual things openly, you're just that guy that talks about sexual things openly, all right? If you come across as comfortable. If you're not comfortable doing it, work on that. Work on being comfortable talking about these things, because if you don't, when you start saying things that are sexual, it's gonna come across as awkward. It's gonna come across as weird. Now, this is something that you really, really have to calibrate, all right? Because look, if you say the wrong thing at the wrong time, it could result in her thinking that you're some kind of weirdo or some kind of, that you're Merv the perv or something like that. You don't want to come across as that. What you want to come across is, what you're trying to get across is being sexually confident. You don't mind talking about it. It's not a big deal. It's everyday life. It's, everybody has, sexual energy, and you just tap into that. All right. So that's what you want to get across. That's the frame that you want to hold, is that you are a guy that's comfortable sexually. All right. We're going to hop into tip number 2. Let's go. Number 2, Kino escalation. Now, we got a video already on Kino escalation, and it goes really deep on that. So if you want to know a little bit more about it, more than what I'm about to talk about right now, search that video out. It's in the library of videos here, so check that out, and it goes quite a bit deeper than what I'm about to say. But with Kino escalation, it's very important, because she has to understand that you are comfortable with touch. See, in the first tip, we talked about sexualizing a conversation, being open sexually. Talk is cheap, as they say, right? When you start talking about Kino, now we're starting to talk about action a little bit. So what I like to do is within the first minute of a set, I'm already started Kino. And for those that don't know, Kino escalation it's touch. Now I wouldn't I wouldn't recommend that form of Kino, but I'm just trying to drive home a point here. But what I want to do is I want to start that early. Within the first minute, I'm going to do something like, maybe shake hands, touch an elbow, things like that. And then it's going to work up from there. But the main thing to remember about Kino, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So as you escalate, always bring it back a little bit, then escalate a little bit more, bring it back a little bit, so that way it doesn't come across as, you ever heard a girl ever say like, oh, this guy's just all hands? Well, girls generally don't like that. If you're not going to get that reputation, she's not going to say that about you if you do 2 steps forward, 1 step back, all right? It's another thing that you have to calibrate a little bit, all right? So, all right, we're going to hop into number 3. Let's go. Number 3, innuendo. So misinterpreting things that she says and putting it in a sexual frame is one way to start sexual conversations. And I will tell you this too. If you work it successfully and you work it right, you know, she will call your bluff. You want her to call your bluff because now you're going to get it popping. You know, what I mean by that is, say for instance, she talks about having an oral fixation. All right. That's just opening the door for innuendo. All right. Now you could say something to the effect of like, you know, I heard that about you. And then she might say like, oh, that's not what I meant. And you'd be like, I don't know. It's not what I'm hearing. And, you know, you could say something to the effect of, you know, I think you should prove it. And she might call your bluff and be like, all right, pull it out. You know what I mean? I've had stuff like that happen before. So that's what I mean. But you got to do it artfully and tastefully. You don't want to come across as Merv the Perv. All right. So I've brought up Merv the Perv before. It's from Saturday Night Live. It's I think his name's Chris. No, what's that dude's name? I don't know. Doesn't matter. You can search it out if you want to. But basically, Merv the Perv goes around and just makes innuendo about everything. It just is super sexual all the time. You know, so you don't want to be that guy. However, if you do it artfully by calibrating, boom, it's going to land. And if nothing else, it gets a laugh and it starts to show your sexual side a little bit. And then you could start going into tip number 1 that we talked about, and that's sexualizing the conversation. All right, I'm going to hop into tip number 4. Let's go. Number 4, restraint. All right, now this is one of my favorite frames that I like to take when we're talking about sexualizing. All right, and that is, I'm finding it very difficult to control myself, but I am. In other words, you got to stop looking at me like that. You know, things like that. Like throwing out those little comments like that, like, you know, I'm really trying to be a gentleman here and you're making it very difficult right now. Saying things like that at the right time is great. I mean, it works so well. It's my favorite thing to do when sexualizing. It's starting to throw out those little comments. The time to start doing that is when you start to build some comfort. It's not something that I do like right off the bat. Once we start having some rapport and we start some actual flirty banter, I've been getting some IOIs. If you don't know what IOIs are, we've got a video on that. Check it out. But I'm starting to get some IOIs from her, some interest. Then I'm going to start dropping lines like that. All right. And so it's a perfect frame to take that you are making it very difficult for me to restrain myself, you know? So listen, guys, definitely appreciate you watching this video. If you got value out of it, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, make sure that you share it with somebody that you know needs to hear it. All right. I know that you got friends that are like, I'm so good with girls, but you've never seen them with one ever. Get these videos to them. All right. So, I'm Dale Valor, Modern Valor Dating. Salute.